Try and play one more game of Braum with the other build and look at it, but I got to thinking a little bit about Magic the other day. And then like my Darien deck, instead of using the Soul Sisters, I could use things like this. Angelic Skirmisher. So at the beginning of each combat, choose First Strike, Vigilance, or Lifelink. Creatures you control gain that ability until end of turn. And that's not too bad. Because like anytime that I've ever played like a Soul Sister or something, they're good cards, but they get hated out instantly with Darien, especially when you take damage. But something like this, I mean, it's flyer. It's giving my creatures lifelink, and then if I don't need the life, I can give them first strike. I mean, or vigilance. I mean, so it has a bunch of things that can give you keywords, and then probably Audric Master Tactician or something that I could spread keywords from one creature to a bunch of other creatures. Um, would be one. But the lifelink, because basically, like with the Soul Sisters are good because when people play creatures, you get one life. But with this, if I take damage, I get a bunch of creatures. And then if my creatures have like an anthem or something on them, then I'm going to get way more life than just what a Soul Sister would give me, you know? And then like Danitha, Benalia's Hope. The other one is okay, but this one I think is a little bit better. It does cost like one more to put in, but first like Vigilance and Lifelink, and then when it enters the battlefield, you can put an Aurora equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to. So if I had like Helm of the Host or Argentum Armor in my hand and I played her, or even in the graveyard and I played her, I could bring them back, snap it onto her real quick, and instantly like as soon as I go to combat, like it's gonna take some effect right there, you know? And I think that's pretty good. Also, I like this artwork a little bit better than the other one because it doesn't look so much like a chick, and it doesn't have as much as that stained glass background in it like the other one does. And then this one, Absent Battle Priest. It's a human cleric with Outlast, which lets you put a 1/1 on it. So, um, each creature you control with the 1/1 counter on it has lifelink, and Outlast you put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And then so basically this is a 4 for a 3/2, and then I can pay 1 to make it a 4/3 with lifelink. But if I can put a 1/1 counter on my other creatures, they're all going to get lifelink. So like Cathar's Crusade or something like that. But with the equipments that I'm running, I get power and toughness equal to the amount of creatures that I have, which means if I have any lifelink things on the field, all I need to do is equip those swords to it, and then I'm going to be able to get all of that damage, all that life back with damage, which I think is going to be a better option. Um, And then things like Field Marshal I never really used, but this is actually a Darien card. I was looking at a bunch of the Darien cards the other day, and I was just like flickering down the list of what the Darien, all the things that mentioned Darien in them and stuff. And things like this were important because he actually talked about his Field Marshals. And once I was looking at the cards that mentioned Darien, I kind of seen the theme, and a bunch of them where they were giving their creatures anthems and keyword effects, and then they had things that would like you could pay 2 and discard a card to gain 1 life and stuff, which it doesn't seem that great. But with like Fawn of Life or you know Dawn of Hope or anything, you could pay 2, discard a card, then pay 2, draw 1. You know, it's kind of weird. But I think this is a card that I had and I haven't played it in the deck. But like Captain of the Watch gives +1/+1, and Vigilance. Field Marshal gives +1/+1, and First Strike. There's another one that gives an Anthem effect, I think, which is pretty good. So, and you even have like Bangladesh Marshal here, where all creatures you get +1/+1. They're all, pretty decent. Things that could make like Hazard Marshal better, but also in this deck, what it does is it gives you +1/+1 and the keyword effect, which is going to protect your soldiers more. So then what you could do is you could put your equipments and protection on Field Marshal, and then you'll have a bunch of tokens that have the +1/+1 and first strike. And then when you have like any of these other ones that give everything lifelink, I mean, Field Marshal is going to be the leader, and he's going to be the one giving them all those power benefits. But he'll have the swords that do like +1/+1 for each creature and lifelink on them, and then all the tokens are going to have lifelink with double strike or lifelink with like twice the power they had when they came in, which I think is how you're supposed to play the deck, is with equipments and stuff like that. You want a few like generals and stuff like this field marshal in play. Um, um, see if I can find it. See, but like I really like, even though Phalanx Formation, this is a really expensive card. You're getting, you know, it costs 3 to cast and then 2 more for each target beyond the first. But they deal double strike damage. If you at least had this, and then you had like a few of the commander creatures on the field equipped with those swords, you can do a lot of damage, getting a lot of life. But I really like things like these card artworks, these card effects. Like Phalanx Tactics, target creature you control gets 2/1 until end of turn. Each other creature gets 1/1 until end of turn. I mean, it doesn't sound like much, but it's just like a buff effect that you can get like out of nowhere. It's an instant speed. I know there's a soldier card that it's slipping my mind, and I don't know what it is. And it has guys with spears. He's holding in the air, and I think it gives an anthem effect in first strike. I can't remember. Um, Field Marshal. And gathering cards to Field Marshal. There it is. Archetype of Turge. So creatures you control get first strike. Creatures your opponent control lose first strike and can't have first strike. So things like this, I think, are kind of interesting. And we have it here. It's a 3-drop. It's basically the same as the other one, but it doesn't give an anthem. Soldiers most fervorously follow generals who lead by example. Elspeth. So I mean, good card artwork, kind of cheapish price, gives first strike to all your creatures. So I mean, I think we need to build the Darien deck around things like this that give all your creatures keyword effects, and then we put the equipments on them, because first strike is fine on its own. And we have like um well, we have Audric, which would be able to give creatures first double strike if other creatures have double strike, and we probably have equipments that can give something double strike at some point, I'm sure. And then uh, that other enchantment that we had that give lifelink and double strike to everything would be in the deck for sure. So we would have a bunch of ways to do first strike, a bunch of ways to do double strike, and then if we give our soldiers vigilance and stuff on top of that, I just see that being very strong. Like Darian's whole thing is that people don't want to attack you when he's on the field, and if they do, you're going to get a bunch of tokens for it. Now, if you have Darian on the field with a bunch of tokens and they have vigilance and first strike and they're fairly sizable, I don't think people are going to want to attack into you anyway because they're going to lose all their stuff. I mean, they would have to swing into you pretty good, and then if they don't, they're just going to get run over by soldier tokens. So I think this is actually a really good um, effect here that we could do. And then like sort of Blade of Selves is something that, I mean, it has Myriad, but we need to put this into the deck because I've thought of a bunch of ways to use this. It isn't going to work on our commander necessarily. Um, I mean, I think this would work on Darien, but if I'm trying to build the deck that's it's going to work for Darien and it's going to work for Livio. But say Blade of Selves, so we put this on Darien, and then whenever we attack with Darien, for instance, each opponent other than defending player may create a token that's a copy of that creature. So as soon as they come in, they're going to die. But I think I could tap mana potentially in response. I don't really know. So if I had Pain Lands that dealt 5 damage to me or something, and I put Blade of Selves on Darien, I attacked, his tokens would come in and die, but I could tap the mana, deal like 5 damage to myself. And then at that point, um, I should be able to triple the amount of tokens that I make for that instant, you know? And then say like I had Torture Chamber or something on the field, I could like use the mana to pay uh, Torture Chamber's effect and then deal like however much damage to me. Or maybe I could do uh, Stronic Resignator to get another copy of the tokens, so you could produce like 20 tokens per combat, which I think would be pretty interesting. But also, could be mana ramp, like Solemn Simulacrum with this on it. Like you'd just attack, and then it would summon 2 Solemns, and then they'll die at the end of combat, and you draw cards, stuff like that. And I was looking at this acclaimed contender for. I know I have one of these somewhere, but for Livio in general, uh, when it enters the battlefield, if you control another knight, look at the top 5 cards of your library, and you can reveal a knight, aurora, equipment, or legendary artifact card from among them, and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, it's a 3-drop knight, enters the battlefield, and then you control another knight, which Livio's a knight at the bare minimum. And then you can look at the top 5 cards of your library, and then you can reveal a knight, aurora, equipment, or legendary artifact, which for the most part, I mean, with Livio, that could be, you know, most of the deck could be equipments. Um, and then you're probably gonna have a couple of knights. So basically, it's pay 5 mana, and you get to look at the top 5 cards and pick one. It's decent. It's not like the best, but it's decent. But it's also, 3 mana for a 3/3. So you put an equipment on there, you got a pretty sturdy body that can kind of set on the field. So I kind of like that. And then Victory's Herald. So this is another 6-drop, and it's an angel, a little weird looking, but the corruption stirred the heavens above, awaking a shining champion. But whenever Victory Herald attacks, attacking creatures you gain or attacking creatures gain flying and lifelink until end of turn. So this is another a thing that we can have that basically we give all of our creatures lifelink as well as flying, which is basically like almost a win condition, even though it's temporary. Like this is a 6-drop that basically like if you had Darien on the field and you took 10 damage and made 10 tokens, and then somehow Darien died and you put Victory's Herald down and equipped equipments to it, and then all your tokens attacked with him, at least you'd be getting all of that life back plus all the damage that Victory's Herald is doing. And Swarm Companions, I was just looking at this because I was looking at putting in like Call the Alarm and all that stuff for like instead of using creature cards in Darien, you just use sorceries to put tokens on the battlefield quickly. Because if we're using equipments, then we could save creature slots by putting in things like this, and it'll give us two. But I was more interested in this because it gives two lifelink tokens. So basically, if we have the equipments and the soldiers on the field, we could use this for two, make two lifelinkers, then stick the swords on the lifelink tokens and use those tokens to generate life for our Darien deck. So it's pretty good, I think. And then we got Soul of Theros. So this is something I haven't really looked at, but it's an avatar. Comes in with Vigilance, and then we can pay 6, and creatures you control get 2/2 and gain First Strike and Lifelink until end of turn. And then we can exile it from our graveyard and do the effect again for 6. So it's not the best, but for 6 mana, I mean, it's also a 6/6 with Vigilance, which is pretty scary on its own. And then, so it's basically a strong card. Um, it isn't legendary, but it could technically replace Darien, and it's going to give you a whole bunch of stats, a whole bunch of damage. Even on its own, it's going to be able to attack and defend pretty effectively. And then for another 6, like you already know you can pay 6 for it. For another 6, you're going to be able to get it into an 8/8 with First Strike, Lifelink, and Vigilance. I mean, that's a good amount of health that you could get per turn. But also, all your tokens becoming 3/3s with First Strike and Lifelink for a turn. That's good health. And then this is the guy, Aldrich Lunar Marshal. So at the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain First Strike until end of turn. Creature control has First Strike. Same's true for flying, Death Touch, Double Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Sulk, Trample, and Vigilance. So this is something that we would use to, spread this around. We already seen that we have creatures with lifelink. We have some creatures with flying, which is basically going to make us swing in for lethal, as well as give all of our stuff, all those keywords. We could potentially give ourselves double strike to all of our creatures. First strike is already pretty popular. It all depends on what we have in our equipments, really. And most of our equipments are just normal equipments that are just going to give +1/+1 for each creature or have like counters on them. But this guy is going to be able to spread everything around to all of our creatures, which I think is going to be really good. Um, and then Indestructible. We don't have a whole lot for Indestructible, but we could have a couple cards that we could put in for Indestructible for Darien or something. But and then Rescue Retriever and Loyal Unicorn are like two of the ones that I've really liked now that I've seen them. Because basically if you have your commander on the field, it negates all the combat damage for all your creatures. So pretty much all of my tokens just become invincible. I mean, that's pretty nice. And this thing is just like it's a 3-drop with lifelink, and it enters the battlefield. Return target creature card with value Vanna 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield, and the creature can't attack or block as long as you control the specialist. But you could put this down and bring like some sort of card back. I mean, you could use this for the Soul Sisters, I guess, but the main thing was just that it's a lifelink. So you could put it down for 3, then put an equipment on it for 2. So you get like a 5 mana, like huge card that shows up with lifelink. It's going to keep fueling your deck. And then, like, oh yeah, I was looking for ways to get things. Yeah, Brass Squire would be something we could do. I was looking at some of these. Pure Steel, I'm probably gonna put in the deck. This one though, I wasn't really sure, but see, it's it's a good card. It's a 2-drop 1/1. As long as it has an equipment on it, soldiers and knights that you control get 1/1, so it's pretty good. But it doesn't give any keywords. I don't really like the artwork, so I wasn't really sure if it was gonna make the cut. Um, the rest of this stuff. Quest for the Holy Relic is pretty good. But you have to cast creature spells, which I don't know how much we're gonna do. I think Stone Here Giant's probably the best. I still like Veterans Armaments and stuff. But these are the things I'm thinking. Also, for the Marchesa deck, I saw the Stormbite Staff the other day. But a crypt creature has pay 2, tap it. This creature deals 1 damage to target creature or player. And then whenever a creature is put into a graveyard from play, untap this creature. So like with Marchesa, when you have an assassin token, you stick this on an assassin token with death touch, and it's gonna deal 1 damage to something, but also deal the death touch, and it'll die, go to the graveyard, and then it would untap the token. So as long as you have the mana, you could just destroy everyone's creatures every turn, which would be really powerful. But the main thing though is just some of these cards, like, all right, so Celestine, the Living Saint. The main thing is like I tried to avoid angels for a while now, but this one's just like a human warrior, but there's a lot of like angel cards that I don't really like, and just like the artwork, and most of them are chicks, and I didn't really like flyers in general. I was okay with my dragon, but flyers do seem to be pretty important in Magic, and I guess they're part of the lore. But this thing is a flying lifelinker. Is one of the first ones I was looking at, and at the beginning of your end step, return target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. So this thing is literally like if we put this in the deck with Darien, it's like, hey, stick this on the field. You're gonna have flying lifelink, and then you can basically bring back any creature card that you want to the battlefield every turn. Because like if you have 10 tokens down and you attach an equipment to this thing and you attack with it and it does like 10 damage, then you're basically just bringing back whatever you want. And then when it triggers at the beginning of your end step, you could Strionic Resignator this and get multiple cards out of the graveyard. So pretty good. And then this thing was okay. It's you pay 2 and target creature control gains lifelink until end of turn. I don't think it's the best, but it's okay. Because you could, whatever creatures you have the equipments on, you could just pay 2 and then give it lifelink for the turn, and it's going to be able to gain all that life back. And it's a 2-drop, so it's not too bad. And I think this is potentially better than a Soul Sister, because, I mean, Soul Sisters, there's some that are 2 and some that are 1. You never really attack with a Soul Sister. They don't have lifelink. There's nothing really amazing about them. So if we drop the Soul Sisters and we stuck this in, and then it's like, okay, yeah, and now you have an equipment, you statch it on a soldier token, or Darian's on the field and he's able to do like 6 damage or 7 damage in a turn, and then you just pay 2 and give him lifelink and he gets that much life. I just don't think the Soul Sisters are good enough. And then this is actually a really good card, but I don't like the look of the card is what bothers me. It's just a giant crystal golem guy or giant. But at the beginning of your combat, you get to add a counter to it for something that it doesn't have, and basically can get all of the keywords. So I think that's pretty good, and it goes good with Aldrich because it's literally if this was on the field and I stuck equipments to it, it's gonna have hexproof, trample, reach, menace, vigilance, lifelink. It's gonna be a 4/4 at some point, death touch, flying, first strike. I mean, and then with Aldrich Master Tactician on the field, all of your creatures are going to be getting all those keywords. So it's just, even if it's only on your combat, I mean, that's a win condition in itself. I just don't like the look of the card. But I thought that was pretty cool. And those are probably the cards I'm going to look at to replace. You can see a lot of those lifelink cards and stuff, though. They're like 5, 6 mana. We also got a lot of mail today for cards. So I'm going to try and knock this out real quick. Let's see what we got. Okay. Another one of those super taped up cardboard things. I think even decks like Livio could use these angels in them. I mean, just for life gain and spreading keywords. All right, so this is a quarter shield. So you can pay. It comes in for 0. Then you can equip creature for with the shield. It gives 0/3 in vigilance. Pretty decent looking shield. It's not too bad. I thought these are kind of interesting. I feel liking this more and more. Like, so Cathar shield, a quarter shield, mirror shield. They give vigilance, which I think is pretty important, and they also give that little bit of buff. So even like on Darien, for instance, I could put this on there, give him vigilance, and he's gonna be like a 3/6, which would be fairly decent. Not bad card. I'm mainly doing that for Livio though. I don't think Darien, because Livio's a knight, and I can't necessarily just give him vigilance very easily. But with soldiers and Darien, like Captain of the Watch, Mobilization, all those, they can give all your creatures vigilance. Next one is we have Spectral Steel, an Aurora. Enchanted creature gets 2/2, and then you can pay 2, exile Spectral Steel from your graveyard, return another target equipment or Aurora from your graveyard to your hand. So, I mean, that's okay. That's a decent little card. It looks okay. It's an Aurora. It's not the best. Basically just a little buff, but it's also, bringing in an Aurora and equipment card from your graveyard to your hand. If we used like Gift of Immortality or something, I think Spectral Steel would be better. But I think the Benalia card, even though it's 3 mana more, would have more impact in something like Darien because it has, First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink all by itself, and then brings back an equipment card anyway. And we're not really using very many Auroras. Next is we got 2 Heirloom Blades, which this is something I think is kind of interesting because it's whenever like first off it's a 3-drop air like sword, and then whenever equipped creature gets 3/1. So if you put this on a token, it becomes a 4/2 for like a 1/1 token, becoming a 4/2. And then when it dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that shares a creature type with it. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, and it equips for 1. So I can stick this like even like early into the game. I could stick this on like a soldier token or even like a weak creature and swing and swing and swing until it dies, or maybe I have a sack outlet, and then I could instantly just go in and take cards off the top of my library until I find a something with it. Like if I have things with soldiers, so with this, I could potentially find like my soldier token would die. There's a good chance I would run into like Captain of the Watch or field marshal or something like that, something that's going to anthem my soldiers and also give me keyword effects. So the fact that I could get this out pretty early and then instantly get another card that's going to boost up my damage and give me keywords that are going to protect both me and also allow me to deal more damage, I think would be really good with Heirloom Blade. Pretty good equipment. Looks cool, not too bad. That's part of my thing too with this with my deck is I'm trying to make it functional, at least somewhat competitive. Um, I don't really like infinite combos, and I want to start like a Magic game mode that's like speed chess, where you get like 30 seconds or something or a minute to make your move, because some of these people's decks, they sit there and they like the dragon deck that I fought last week. You're in commander, they're fighting, they put their commander on the field, they get to search like 7 dragon cards and stick them in their hand, and I know as soon as that happens, things are like instantly gonna get crazy. And then like the next turn, 20-minute, 30-minute turns, summoning dragons, doing bullshit. There needs to be like a timer that people have to click when they go. You got 1 minute to make your move. Anything over a minute, you run out of time and your turn's over. That's the same thing they have for Magic Arena, and it makes it a lot better because it means people can't do a bunch of craziness, or if they can't find the card in their deck when they're trying to tutor for it. Why can't I open this? Jeez. Alright. So this one we have, I think it's just Cavalier of the Dawn. I think we just got another one. But with Livio, like I run this in Darien and stuff because it's a removal. I mean, it's a 5-drop for a 4/6 vigilance. Enters the battlefield, you destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 colorless golem artifact, and then when it dies, return target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to your hand. So, I mean, it's a removal and it's a recursion for equipments and stuff. Looks pretty good. In Livio, you're going to be able to just flicker this, you know? So you can basically pay 5 and just keep flickering it and keep destroying everything on someone's field. So you're going to get a bunch of 3/3s, but you can also, uh, use it for a beater. Got some pretty decent looking artwork and stuff. So I think that's a good card. I like running the creature cards that are removals too, because it's easier to get creatures back on the battlefield and stuff than anything, and they have more use than a sorcery. It's just they're more prone to getting wiped out. I have to clean my desk after this. I got so much crap up here. Alright. Thanks, this Sword to Plowshares coming in. So even in like the Darien deck, when we're using these equipments, Sword to Plowshares is got some versatility for us because it's pay 1 and then you exile target creature. Its controllers gain life equal to its power. So let's say that we weren't able to attack or something on our turn. We could basically equip a sword to a soldier token or something, give it power and toughness equal to the amount of creatures we have, and then Sword to Plowshares, the creature token for 1 mana, and then we gain life equal to its toughness. So I think that's pretty cool. But it's also a removal spell. So when you build a mono white deck and you want to make it really good, you need things like this that are kind of versatile. This next one, I'm not super like, I don't think it's super powerful, but I do like the effect, and it's an entrapment maneuver. It's one of the first cards that I got when I was playing Magic. It's the kind of theme that I like. It's a 4 cost, But it just has a bunch of like little tokens fighting a troll on there. Entrapment maneuver sounds cool. And target player sacrifices an attacking creature. You create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens where X is that creature's toughness. Greed, rage, and bloodlust all lead to death at the hands of those who keep their heads. Sergeant Arius. So if someone's attacking me with one really big creature, I can play entrapment maneuver and make them sacrifice it. If they're attacking me with a bunch of little tokens and like a creature or something, I can't force them to really get rid of anything important. But what's good about entrapment maneuver is that it's a 4 cost and it can basically do the same effect as Sword to Plowshares. So if I have a sword with 1/1 counters giving it to a token, and I have 10 tokens on board, and I attack with that token, I can then play entrapment maneuver and then kill my own token, and then put 10 more tokens on the board, which would be pretty good. So you just sacrifice one, and you're doubling it. So it's a little bit of token generation, especially with the like. So how you got to look at this too is like we have a mace and the sword that get 1/1 counters on it, and every time we get a 1/1 counter, it increases how much power and toughness it gives to an equipped creature. So with those, like you could have them on the field, they could have 5, 6, 7, 10 counters, and then you get into a situation where you really need some more blockers or something, or maybe you got another equipment down that can give you more power for each creature that you have. You could just equip that to something that you have, attack with it, entrapment maneuver your own card, bring in like 10 tokens, then equip that mace back onto another token. You get the same power back, and then you can equip the other equipment to another creature, and now you have 2 big creatures and a bunch of blockers. So kind of a versatile card I like. Loyal Unicorn is one that we're getting for that Livio deck, but potentially you could use it in Darien if you wanted. But it does give you Vigilance. It just has Vigilance itself. It's a 4-drop, 3/4 Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to creatures you control this turn. Other creatures you control gain Vigilance until end of turn. So in Livio, it's going to be good, and in Darien, it's going to be really good because that right there just gives you basically immunity, but also vigilance to your creatures, which is really good in mono white. Nobody really uses vigilance, but I've been kind of looking at it more and more. So I think that's really good. And we got frontline medic. I have one of these. I got another one. So this is a 3-drop with battalion. So whenever frontline medic and at least 2 other creatures attack, creatures you control are indestructible, and then you can sacrifice it to counter target spell with X in its mana cost unless its controller pays 3. So it's kind of got a little bit of protection from board spells, removals, board wipes, all of that, and it gives all your creatures indestructible, which is really good in mono white. And so right now, off the top of my head, we have Loyal Unicorn, which negates all damage and gives vigilance. Rescue Retriever, which negates all damage for your creatures. And then Frontline Medic, which negates or gives immunity to all your creatures. That's just 3 cards. And then, if we have Hammer of Nazan, or I mean, even Darksteel play it or something on the field. An Aldrich Master Tactician or something like that, or Bastion's Protector on the field and Aldrich Master Tactician. You're basically giving all your creatures indestructible with those 2-card combos. So a lot of indestructible and stuff going on here. And then another card that I'm pretty much sticking in all my mono white decks and stuff is Settle the Wreckage. Pretty important, kind of a staple. Um, Settle the Wreckage, I think, is kind of almost necessary. Uh, so this and Path to Exile are 2 cards that I put in like my mana ramp area of the deck. Because like Path to Exile is a 1-cost exile target creature. Its controller may play a land. So that in mono white is basically, you attack, you pay one, you pay one, sack a creature, get a land. Early into the game, I mean that's an okay little bit of ramp that you could get there. Later into the game, it's a potential removal for your creatures. This is, pay 4, exile all attacking creatures target player controls. That player may search his or her library for that many basic land cards, put those onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. So, like with Darien or, uh, you know, uh, pretty much any deck, I mean, basically, if you have 4 creatures at least that you want to sacrifice, or even 2, you could uh, settle the wreckage and pay 2 mana or whatever, basically for a land, which is pretty decent. But on the flip side, if someone's attacking you with a bunch of creatures, you could settle the wreckage, all their stuff later, and then basically win the game. So that's a good card. Let's see what else that we got here. Okay, got some more cardboard. Oh, I think this is Halviar. Yeah. I forgot that I got this card, but that original card that we were planning on making our commander, so Halviar, God of Battle, with the good artwork, so we paid a little bit extra for that one. And then creatures you control that are enchanted or equipped have double strike. At the beginning of each combat, you may attach target aurora equipment attached to a creature you control to target creature you control. That's pretty good. And then on the flip side, we can cast this for 2, and then equipped creature gets 2/0 and has vigilance. Whenever equipped creature dies, return it to its owner's hand. So the double strike effect would be nice to have in this card early, but if we can't do that early, we can still flip it and get Sword of the Realms. We also have there's an orb that we have, and then we have Gift of Immortality. We can even do what's the other one? There's a ring that it's kind of almost it's a black ring basically, but it's colorless for the most part. It doesn't mention anything about needing. It doesn't have any color symbols. But you could like pay 1 to regenerate equipped creature, which is pretty good. The other thing that we got is this Vexus Praetor card. It's a new card that just came out, but it has Flash and Vigilance and Aegis of the Emperor. Commanders you control have protection from everything. Um, that is pretty powerful, just in general. But here's the other thing with this is like with Darien, that's going to be very powerful. The card art on this is pretty nice. In Livio, it's going to be powerful. This doesn't help my creatures necessarily, but if I have a bunch of equipments on Darien per se, and I'm worried about Darien dying, I could then put Velix's Praetor out there. And even with Livio, this is going to give both of my commanders protection from everything. Um, and then at that point, I can put my equipments on this card and protect it, and it's going to protect my commanders from everything. So I think that's pretty good. And it's a 4-drop. It's a 4-drop. It's pretty good. All right, next card. Okay, this one gets a lot more in it. All right, so we got to Vanquish the Horde, I can see already. So Vanquish the Horde has Aldrich on it, so you can pay 8 or the spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Destroy all creatures. So if we have any way to, if we have like a bunch of tokens on the field, and we have indestructible or something on all of our creatures, we could potentially use Vanquish the Horde, or if we just have a bunch of tokens and we're going to lose a fight, we could just use this to destroy all creatures. Basically, you know, if we have 6 creatures on the board, uh, we can pay 2 to destroy all creatures, which is pretty decent. It has Aldrich on it, which is pretty good artwork. We also went and got another Stoneforge Masterwork. So that's just a kind of a plate armor that gives a equipped creature 1/1 for each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. So that's pretty good. This is the kind of stuff that I want in the deck. Is basically it costs 2 to put, or it costs 1 to put down and 2 to equip. So it's basically a 3-cost creature. You know that if you have 10 tokens on board, this is a 10/10. And then if they destroy the creature, you just put on another creature. If they destroy the artifact, I mean it costs 3. I mean that's fairly cheap. And then we got another Dawn of Hope, because this is card draw. So whenever you gain life, you may pay 2 if you do draw a card. And then we can pay 4 and create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. So in Darien, this is pay 4. I mean, it's not the best value, but you can pay 4 for a lifelink token. And then that token is going to be able to give you a lot of value when you put an equipment on it, as long as you have a decent board state. We also got a Armored Sky Hunter. I've never really used this card. I never liked it very much, but it's a 4-drop 3/3 flyer, cat knight. But on the artwork, you can't really tell it's a knight, so I'm kind of, you can't really tell it's a cat so much. So I'm a little bit okay with it. But it's riding a pterodactyl. Whenever Armored Sky Knight attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a Aurora or equipment card from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put onto the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. Put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is kind of like Attendant Knight for me, where if I have a lot of equipments in the deck, like Attendant Knight, you can just play it. Like in Darien, you're only going to be able to play it once, and it's basically going to look at the top 5 and put an equipment down, as long as there's equipment there. Armored Sky Hunter, you can do this per turn, and then when it attacks, this is a triggered ability. So we could Strionic Resignator this. So basically, it attacks, you Strionic Resignator to look at the top 6 cards, and then you're going to be able to put 2 of those equipments onto the battlefield per turn attacking. So that's pretty decent. Actually, really powerful in general. And then you can attach it to a creature you control, which is really good as well. And then also, if you give Sky Hunter Double Strike, that's going to be 3 equipments that you could potentially get out of the deck for free and attach to a card. So I think Sky Hunter is really good. Speaking of which, we're going to have to do a Reddit post real quick. know I'm clicking the S. Alright. So we got one more box, or one more letter. I hope I'm not getting a cavity. Didn't brush my teeth after eating ice cream and some sweets for a few days, and kind of regretting it. Alright. This one is what? Alright, so this one is Shining Armor, which is basically the same as Paladin Shield almost. Has flash, so you pay 2. It has flash. Enters the battlefield, equip it, attach it to target knight you control. Equipped creature gets 2/0 and has vigilance. So it's okay. I mean, it can kind of maybe try and protect one of your cards potentially. I ain't gonna say that it's going to, but it might. Pretty decent looking artwork. It is gonna help Livio have vigilance as well. That's the important thing with this card is getting as much vigilance as we can for Livio. It's not bad looking artwork, so I think it's alright. All in all, looking pretty decent. Now, Get all this all off my desk. Oh, and we'll try and play a Braum game with the other item and Warmogs. See what happens. But I think Sky Hunter is going to be a really good card just in general. I mean, it attacks, you get to search the top 6 for an equipment or a roar card and then instantly attach it to something on the field. So if you have Stoneforge Mystic, Stonehewer Giant, the 3 instant searches for equipments, and Sky Hunter, you're already looking at 6. And then if Sky Hunter's on the field, it gets double strike. You can get 2 of those equipments. And then if you get Stronic Resonator, you can get 3 of those equipments. If you get Helm of the Host or something on it early, you're looking at, rapid fire equipments coming out of your deck really fast for free. So that's pretty interesting. And that's with any of those too. Like literally, if you have any of those cards hit the field, you're winning. Like you're gonna have so much equipment advantage that it's gonna be pretty insane. And then all you got to do is equip something, and after that you're pretty good. And like with Livio, you're looking at, you could flicker Attendant Knight, which would be another one it's just gonna pull it to your hand, but you could flicker that for 5, and then keep pulling more and more equipments out. And then eventually you run into like Helm of the Host or something, you stick that on the Attendant Knight, and then you don't flicker it anymore. Just every turn it's gonna keep popping more and more out. And then like once you get all these equipments to the field, if someone does like a creature removal or a board wipe, you just pay 2 for Livio, exile your creature, and it's pretty good. Oh god, I'm getting fat. All right, so we're gonna go for Braum, and we are gonna go with the health version. We probably just go second wind. It's really the only change they were doing is second wind versus the other one. This one also has more in-person targets going on, so I'm not seeing a lot of projectiles, so it probably would have been better to go armor in this one. But Trundle also can take combat stats, so there's that as well. So let's just look at our equipment. So either of the decks, Stoneforge Mystic, Stonehewer Giant, Sky Hunter, potentially Knight's Attendant. You have the 3 search cards that can find an equipment, and then you have Relic Seeker. So that right there is 8 searches that could potentially be reusable. I'm still a big fan of Braum starting with E, because I'm able to block quite a lot, you know? What's funny about that there is that if I don't even need my Q for that to work. If I start E there, all I do is auto attack the Trundle. My teammates kill him, and then I use like E or something and protect everybody. Goddamn range on that thing. Where's my Braum at? Oh, here we go. This is going to be the big test because they actually have a decent amount of projectiles here. So they have 3 champions with projectiles. This is going to give my ADC the most healing that I can. am. Is this guy still not backing? Okay, I was like, I was about to lose it. That ghost? That had to have just came up. Surely I didn't have ghost before. He has lucidity boots, so she's gonna be poking us down pretty hard. Alright, Trundle's up there. I don't know why he's not standing behind the minions. I might have been able to flash that one. Is she gonna ult? Surely they wait for Trundle here. It's aggressive on our part because I know Trundle was probably coming, but I thought we could kill him. I was looking for a flash combo. This could be bad for Nuno here. But I was looking for a flash combo as best that I could. Just getting more and more lucidity going down here. That kind of sucks. So, I got more and more AD. I think we can just go armor boots. Possibly just wait here for the finishing boots. Finish the boots. I was gonna get a laptop to play survival games, but I could get a laptop to play League at work. I mean, I have enough for one League match. I got enough time for one League match most days. And League doesn't probably require that powerful of a computer. Although the internet there probably is terrible. I don't really know. Like it barely plays phone videos, so I don't know about that one. Okay. Honestly didn't think that we lost that, to be honest. I figured Trundle would have died instantly right at the beginning. And I blocked Varsolt and Ashold, so there's that. Alright, he's not going to freeze it apparently. I mean, with the other one, we did defense stuff, so we can still do defense stuff with this one. So they got 80. She's going AP, so or hybrid or something. Um, AP. We got a bunch of ADs, so we're probably good with AD. This is a terrible place to be. I just don't think that we win, whatever that is. So self-filling 161 because we died before we could get it off. Ari is doing a lot of damage, and so is Varus, so I'm not really sure. AD defense-wise, we're probably going to need this. And then for AP, I'm not exactly sure yet. Jen doesn't have any mana, which is what I'm worried about. And we can collapse on Garen. I think we have to go AD first. I mean, they're only one real AP champion on their team, and it's okay. I can't leave Jin because he dies here, and then if he leaves, we lose this turret, so split. Guess we're going for it. Thing is that Ari can dash all the way through here and kill Jin and me. I don't think we get as much benefit out of this as we think. I mean, we can still go Force of Nature, but it's not giving us a lot of value. Frozen Heart will give us a little bit. I mean, Jin is down levels, damage, everything. Varus is up like 10-0, so I mean, there's not. We might be able to clear this ward before they finish. If you don't get ulted here. Oh, maybe Jack Show is the way to go with Brom here. These people and their ward hate. Making a comeback. She already has penetration too, so it's kind of 1,200 mitigated damage here, but we've only healed myself for 1,000 and allies for 1,000. Now, mitigated damage at the end of the game for the other ones was like 27,000 to like 30 something. $300 damage. Ari's just nuking me right now. That's a problem. I don't know if she has charm up. They're almost all full build. I need my build stuff. Oh yeah, we gotta look at the stats. I was looking at Reddit. Graphs. So total damage probably a little lower. We need ally healing, ally shielding. So we healed for 1,000, so that's not very good. Self-mitigated damage. It's 36,000. I definitely didn't feel as tanky though, so there is that. Hmm. I don't know. Maybe Jack Show is better. I'm not sure. It's better personally just to heal and sustain and be able to do something on your own, but I mean, I only healed my allies for 1,000 there. It's not very. That's not very impressive. Um, but with Jack Show, I'm only really uh healing myself for like 200 or 300, but it does give us a lot of armor stats, which would also buff up like Thornmail. Loot. Looks like we got some more keys. Work, Twitch. Got another Hextech chest, Syndra, and a key. Dreadnought and Nasus. I'm not really interested in that. What do we have back here? Bewitched Tristana, Nightbringer Kane, Odyssey Yasuo, Super Galaxy Gnar, Lumberjack Scion. I think we will do so Super Galaxy Gnar, Lumberjack Scion. And I'll put Dreadnought and Nasus in there, I guess. See what happens. Orange Essence. Frosted Ezreal. Okay. I think maybe we keep Ruin Guard, but I don't really care about this LeBlanc skin. I wouldn't really use this Odyssey skin either. I don't even know what Nightbringer Kane is. But Odyssey skin isn't bad. I just probably wouldn't use it. Activatable. Trying to find some rules. Somebody is debating me on a double strike. Okay. Nightbringer Cane might be a good skin. I don't really have any problem with Volar Bear, but I mean, maybe we just re-roll these. Let's re-roll the Ruin Bear. See what happens. Swamp Master Kennen. What does that even mean? (2012). Oh god. 16 times the detail. Look how crisp that is. It just pops out. Looks like Yoda. It's basically Yoda with ninja stars. Deadpool. Alright. Well, I guess that's all we're going to do for today, so I'll see y'all guys in a bit.